secondo me va bene.
È solo, bisogna solo spostarlo,
Sì.
no?
Perfetto.
Vabbè, si
Poi
perde
ci
un
saranno
po' di...
delle pagine.
Ok, ti lascio...
Grazie. Quindi grazie infinite a tutte le persone che hanno deciso di partecipare, a chi mi ha preceduto per i saluti. Diciamo che sono estremamente contento della riuscita di questo evento, che è stato molto partecipato da parte degli studenti, da parte dei colleghi. Parleremo in inglese, almeno ci proveremo. Abbiamo deciso che facciamo questa, visto che passeremo in due relatori, l'altro relatore è collegato, il professor Salah Haj Ismail, che è già stato citato, e quindi presto switcheremo nella lingua inglese, insomma. Intanto chiedo a Salah se vuole fare un saluto introduttivo, visto che abbiamo deciso che sarò io poi a relazionare per primo. Ciao Salah.
Ciao, grazie mille. Innanzitutto vorrei ringraziare tutti per l'invito, particolarmente professore Morezzi, amico, collega, 18 anni, sì, adesso, a professoressa Mattone che ha organizzato al Heritage International Institute for the preparation of the Syrian Week. Tutti altri, scusate per aver usato il mio italiano adesso che è quasi dimenticato, però bastante sufficiente, diciamo. E il professor Fulvio, può essere che non ricordare, però era il primo che ho incontrato in l'esame dell'ammissione del dottorato 2007. Non ho visto, però spero che anche il mio professore, tutore, il professor Romeo, che sta lavorato tutto per lungo tempo e sempre continuano a sostenerci in Siria nei giorni più duri della rivoluzione e della guerra in Siria. Hanno continuato sempre a sostenerci. Sono venuto in 2014 altra volta, però e in la sala allí, io ho trascorso molto ore fantastiche imparando la mia ricerca adesso fu in un contesto diverso, però continuiamo a lavorare insieme con il Politecnico. Il Politecnico finalmente la mia seconda casa accademicamente. Grazie mille e continuiamo con il lavoro per il futuro del patrimonio culturale siriano.
Thank you so much. I was saying we start speaking in English, and then you see Salah already greet everyone in Italian with a great Italian. So thank you so much for this too. Actually, I would like to start, if you don't mind, as we decided with Salah, to telling you like a fun fact, which is half fun, half not fun at all. That happened to me particularly and to us just a few weeks ago. In the first semester, I am the professor of the course in the bachelor master of Theory and History of Conservation and Restoration. Of course, it's an 8 credit course, so it's quite a huge course. It's 6 hours a week. And as you may understand, sometimes as professors, as scholars, we share our researches in the past. So sometimes I used to mention Syria to my students, okay, like what we did with Salah Ismail back in the days, what we are still doing, and so and so. And maybe I mentioned Syria heritage with these enchanted eyes, with my passion for this heritage many, many, many times. This until December. You know, maybe in December, things in Syria start changing, I mean, politically. Then, as we used to we had a phone call with Salah Ismail, and we discussed about the situation in Syria. We'll see what will happen. No one knows, of course. And I, as a professor and also as a Syria lover, Syrian heritage lover, I really had the will to do something. Maybe not, of course, we can do stuff at all regarding this political situation, but maybe as professors. And thanks to him, he said, well, actually, there is something that we really can do. Maybe you didn't realize, And I was really quite shocked that our students really, they don't know anything about Syria, because this difficult situation is going on since probably 2020, 2011 to be specific. And since they are 22, 23, means then the most part of their lifetime, once they listen to Syria, me and Salah and the professors here and many other people that had the luck to work there, think to something really beautiful, something crucial for our heritage as a European, as Asian people, for everyone, of course. But all our students maybe think about Syria in a different way, as a nation and a country suffering a difficult situation, suffering a loss of heritage. And so maybe we can actually do something. So we start thinking together that maybe it would be interesting to share like a dialogue about what we did together back in the days. And then quite sudden, because we thought that it would be really worthy to share with them this, to try our best to share with them the importance of this heritage. Of course, we're not interested in politics. We're interested in heritage as scholars. And then, well, actually, Manuela was get in touch with this institute that organized this whole week about Syrian heritage. So here we are. Even if this seminar is already changed quite a lot, it's not, of course, anymore a dialogue between two colleagues. It's more like an institutional moment, actually, fortunately, involving the third level, like PhD, like Scuola di Specializzazione, and two departments. So it's getting bigger, and I'm really happy to it. And but I see that actually our intention was actually in air, you see. But according to all this story, we decided that probably it would be interesting to share with you what we did in the past years in Syria, even if it's in a way a story of how to say, it's a story of disappointing, is a disappointing story from one side, because as you may get, for sure, as we are both professors for architecture, I am professor of architecture, restoration, and conservation. Salah got his PhD here in Polytechnic of Turin. Maybe later he would like to tell us more about this moment of his lifetime here in Turin. Turin is the place where we met, actually, and we start to cooperate back in the days, 2007. The pictures are almost nowadays picture, not, well, almost, so halfway. But unfortunately, according to this timeline that we will share, you'll see that actually we were just about to start our research on the field, on the archaeological site, on the cooperation. And then the 2011 happened, so the situation changed quite completely. And so our research was not stopped. We go on trying again our best. But me from Turin, Salah from Ankara in Turkey, we tried to get updated about the situation. Most of the time, according to the picture that Professor Rinaldo already showed us, unfortunately, those pictures are really familiar to us, because it was for a certain moment, long moment actually, the only way to get what was really happening there. But we try our best to fulfill our expectation regarding the knowledge of the heritage in Syria, even if we didn't have the opportunity to go back there yet. Basically, we work in three different fields of research or lines of research. The very first one was interested on the archaeological sites, conservation and restoration. As you probably know, Syria has one of the most amazing and outstanding archaeological heritage. With archaeological, I mean, it's not just about the Roman archaeology, but it's actually quite a wide period of time, including Byzantine period, including Umayyad period, even including also quite outstanding sites regarding the 3rd, 4th century after year 0, connected with the early the earliest shapes of Christianism, like the Stylite way of life, like San Simeon, for example, and many others. All these sites are actually incredible source of information. We really don't know so much yet, beside what Professor Rinaldo mentioned about this sometimes this missing opportunity of sharing data with the archaeological expedition. But even if before 2011, all this archaeological heritage was mainly visited by tourists, of course, reached Syria many, many times. The more we researched in the site, the more we found, even not more interesting, but actually quite enriching us as scholars and so. So we start working together on this field. The second one was actually more oriented on the post-disaster intervention and cultural heritage. This was, as you may understand, something that was not in our plan at the very beginning, even if it was a field of research that interested us the most. Even before, we shared bibliography papers about the topic, and unfortunately we start working on the hypothetical post-disaster intervention on the site, not just about the, let's say, physical or architecture intervention, but according to this exchange or this cooperation with in sharing our different point of views, we were super interested also on the perception of the heritage even after the disaster, and the istanza psicologica topic we already know quite well, linked to Pane theories, linked to the psychology connected with the sites. And the third main field of research was actually the historical, the monumental heritage, we may call it. So, for example, this amazing mosque in Aleppo of the 11th century. So just a super brief series of what we did. This moment is actually is established in order to open the debate, open connections, open for cooperation. So we really don't have the time to get in focus about all these papers or activities. Maybe I will just spend a few more words on just a couple of them. But of course, since we are here to open a debate, a dialogue, so please feel free to join or to reach us with an email or whatsoever, in order, if you're interested, if you would like to take a look to it. Of course, we are, our emails are in the last sheet of this presentation. Okay, this is the really starting point. I had the opportunity to visit Syria when I was a teenager or so, with my parents, of course. So I knew the country in that moment. So I had clear in mind what I saw. Last century, actually, was in the last century. And so we work in a couple of quite different theses. Our topics about the PhD were actually quite different, of course. We had the same tutors, so Professor Emanuele Romeo and Professor Pier Giorgio Tosoni. We work in different topics. Salah Haj Ismail work, maybe later he would like to tell us more about a specific area on the northern part of Syria. We may say in the field, which is in the territory between Aleppo city and the border with Turkey. So let's say in the northern part of the country, specifically on these old historical cities like Brad and Order. And me, I was interested in sustainability regarding cultural heritage or cultural sustainability in the PhD period. The very core of what we had the opportunity to do was actually in 2010 exactly, or 2010 exactly. And we had the opportunity to, of course, visit Syria, join the country. We went there by car, just since it's Friday afternoon, so everyone is, I can also add fun facts about it, because we decided together, even if it was a crazy decision, that it would be maybe the last chance for us to reaching Syria by car through Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. It was actually, it may give us the opportunity to check the changing on the landscape outside the windows of the car slowly. So without taking a ship or a plane, we were really interested on these slow changing on landscape. And so actually we did it, and it was really amazing. But it was not about the trip, it was actually a working activity. We joined Aleppo Faculty of Architecture University, and we had the opportunity to establish dialogue and a starting point for a potential cooperation. During this period, we had the opportunity to enforce many relations with a lot of people that I really would like to mention, but I would like to mention them and thank them at the end of our speech, if Salah is agree. But we both, Professor Salah Ismail already had a connection there, was a scholar of Aleppo University of Architecture. So we started working with the professor of the Faculty of Architecture on the restoration of main building. We visit a couple of sites that the university was interested to work on in order to enforce, again, this cooperation with Polytechnic of Turin. Unfortunately, as you, that this period was also, gave us also the opportunity to us to spend people on teaching. So to get in touch with Syrian students in Aleppo University, just to exchange our point of view, exchanging, of course, our knowledge and sharing it with them. After 2011, as you know, the situation in Syria changed quite a lot, so it was almost impossible for that moment on to go back again. So but we didn't stop, so we go on working from away on the topic. How? Well, actually, with the same attitude we're having here right now, so opening to potential cooperation. We start trying our best to collect data. Okay, Professor Renato already mentioned the visual data about the changing of the conservation of heritage, but we start even back in 2015, even if we are working on a similar topic right now with Bosnia and Herzegovina, to collect what I call it like the perception regarding heritage. Of course, at that time, social network was not so shared all around, and in Syria moreover, but we try to get in contact with different people aware about the situation, to understand more about the transformation, and so to collect data and to collect points of view about the heritage. So that's why we presented together in Reuso in Florence in the second conference of Reuso this paper, of course, signed by the both. This is the paper Professor Rinaldo already mentioned before. Then we started a cooperation with ABU, Ankara Yildirim Beyazit University. Professor Salah Ismail started his cooperation with this university in Ankara. He is now full professor in Ankara Yildirim Beyazit University. And so we start working not with Syrian institutions, since it was not possible to go there, but with Turkish institution, this Ankara University, we are still working on, with researches regarding or Syrian heritage or similar situation. Thanks to Professor Salah Ismail, we had the opportunity to have these workshops regarding the recovery of historical cities and cultural heritage sites. He had also the opportunity to present this activity in Settimana del Patrimonio of the PhD in this very same room, but way connected. This is a master established by Professor Salah Ismail, which hosts many professors all around Europe and Turkey. I had the opportunity to go there twice. Professor Riccardo Ordiero had the opportunity to be guest lecturer, guest, invited professor, a visiting professor, unfortunately online because it was 2020. But this master's established in 2018 was actually not just about the topic of recovering cities, but also is intended to give a specific knowledge on the topic to people that are how we may say, need a specific education on the topic. Few of them are not Turkish, came from different countries, from Africa, from, of course, from Iraq, from Syria, from Asia, of course. I met them 3 times. So this is, again, another, not, of course, it's scientific, but it's more a cooperation connected with education. The most part of this exchanging was actually published in this book, and the 2 of us, we are the authors of it. It's Post-War Disaster Recovery of Historical Cities and Cultural Heritage Sites. Super long title. And the main topic, the main intention, goal maybe of this book is actually to put together or to match, in a way, the theory about reconstruction. We really know, also case studies about reconstruction after war or after natural disaster. We suffered in Europe and not only, with the ongoing situation in Syria, just to know if this Western, let's say, experience may be in a way fruitful for a potential intervention on the topic. This is a book published by the ABU University, published and is dating back 2018. And we, of course, we have also 2 papers on the book, which was written by 2 other by 2 other professors in ABU University. Salah Ismail is the only author of this other book, which is actually Post-War and Disaster Reconstruction and Rehabilitation. The very focus on this book is actually regarding Syria, but not only Syria, also other different case studies regarding actually the idea of recovery, with this interesting juxtaposition between the recovery of the human beings and recovery of the psychological perception regarding heritage of the people, and the recovery of cities and heritage in a wider sense. I try to be as fast as possible because, of course, I would like to leave the floor to my colleague. Let's see. Great. This is actually something I meant to spend 2 minutes more, which was a PhD course we organized in 2022. The title this time, okay, again, super long: Designed Ruins, Remains, Scars and Monuments, and Post-War Chronicles of Heritage Conservation and Reconstruction. This was, it was 2022. The course was actually planned to have 6 different moments. The very first 2 moments, very first 2 afternoons were actually dealt more with the theoretical perception of the topic regarding this post-war intervention. The second half of the second part of the course, so the last 4 moments were actually 4 different moments regarding 4 different geographical and cultural situations. Serbia, with the bombing attack of the 1999 by NATO, Bosnia and Herzegovina with the war, of course, on the reconstruction of the Balkan War in the 90s. Syria was the 3rd moment, and in that occasion we had this afternoon seminar just planned with Syria, with many guests, with Professor Salah Ismail. Of course, we worked together on the organization, but we asked 4 different professors online. They connected with us, and we had the opportunity to talk and to work also with the PhD students regarding the idea of this changing and destruction of heritage in Syria and this potential overtake, in a way, of the situation. We had just a couple of things more. This is actually something quite interesting because it's regarding the defense of a final thesis of the master of a candidate, architect Wesam Zarqa, who decided to work on the dissonant heritage in Syria. Beside the lack of opportunity to reach the country, to see the country. Already the Syrian heritage was actually quite touched by trauma, and we already had the opportunity to work together identifying a situation of dissonant heritage. Unfortunately, one of the most known one is actually the Aleppo's river massacre, and the architect was worked also in research regarding this topic in order to find a potential solution to pass through the trauma to recovery again regarding this heritage without erasing the history and the memory of this sad event, but to keep the memory in the very same sense, try to find a solution on to pass to going beyond to the trauma through the conservation of heritage. More papers presenting here in the annual conference in 2023 and the future perspective. This was actually just a super quick, and so I know probably not super scientific also, series of research and so, but it was intended just to share with you, colleagues, and moreover with students of bachelor and third level of students, that even if it was in a way quite impossible to research something if you can't see it directly, touch it directly, you can't go there. We have solutions and we have technique at least to open a dialogue. So it's also to giving a wider sense of our activity as scholars, as professors, trying our best to go on with the research, waiting, of course, for a better future. So I would like to leave you the floor in a moment, but before doing it so you'll have more time to do and to extend also what I said to the people here, to all the people that came. I really would like also to mention all the people that we had the luck to meet, and they help us so much. Like, for example, Professor Mohamed Tammo, who is now professor in Wolverhampton University. Abdulhamid Dina, who is now working in Istanbul. He is an amazing professor involved in the restoration of the Blue Mosque. The Professor Mohamed Zakour, who join us in that PhD course regarding the designed monuments, and join us online from Aleppo University in 2022, which was something I believe quite unique. Very difficult for the connection, very difficult having the right to connect with Europe, sharing moment about scientific knowledge. So even if it was just for 10 minutes, according to me, and I guess for us, it was an amazing goal for us having him. It was just to, Aleppo was, and it still is, an amazing city, but the population was really wide. We're talking about millions. The University of Architecture in Aleppo was really huge, counting many students. In 2022, if Salah, please tell me if I'm wrong, Professor Mohamed Zakour was actually one of the last 10 or 11 professor in the university, and he joined us in Polytechnic di Torino. So he was actually, I was just actually talking about ethical meaning of our work. So for sure, Professor did an amazing gift to us. Professor Ruba Kazmo, she is working now in Istanbul University. We had the opportunity to join her in this seminar, in many activities also in Istanbul. She hosts us many times. Youssef Kanjo, who was the head of Aleppo Museum, who is now professor in Germany. And of course, all the people of Ankara Yildirim Beyazit University, Abdullah Dilsiz, who joined us in Erasmus Plus agreement last year. Rukia Chatin, she is now, I guess, in Canada, but maybe Salah knows
US,
best.
United States.
US, okay. I get the continent, I missed the count. Abdullah Bulbul, of course, and Tulay Zivali, assistant professor, who is she's now in Samsun University. From Polito also, a lot of people get in contact with Ankara Bayezid University working on this master regarding recovery. Luena Strepi, everybody here knows her, joined the master with a lecture regarding acoustics in reconstruction. I already mentioned Riccardo Rudiero with his efforts and his lecture in the master in 2020, and Professor Romeo Emanuele, of course, get in contact and spend his time with the lectures in the master. So we had the connection. We really try our best, as we said. Salah, please, I really would like to leave you the floor if you would like to tell us more about the future perspective, and of course, I think whatever you want to.
Thank you very much. Thank you for presenting the long trip we have together. Some moments were great, all the moments were great, but some of them, they were sad, emotional, extra emotional. You mentioned two things before I go to the future perspectives. One of them that in 2011, when I returned after the PhD, I returned to Aleppo University, and the first collaboration was in the master program, which is a master program of the third level, but it is for a specialization school, which was established at that year for the protection of heritage sites in Syria. And we have here some of the students who attended this master there in Aleppo, in Syria, joining us online. I see Hussein al-Taha and Bara and the others, they are here. The second thing, that between 2011 and 2015, until I was forced to leave Syria, we were continuing, but with all the difficulties you have mentioned about the connection, the email, sometimes we lose, especially when in 2013 the Faculty of Architecture in the University of Aleppo was bombed exactly now 12 years ago on 15th of January. I would like to remember all those colleagues and students and friends who lost their lives this day, unfortunately. But fortunately now things are changing, hopefully for a positive way, politically. But as you mentioned, we are not interested in politics too much. Hopefully that it will enable us to continue our academic and professional cooperation. The two books, we were the editors, one with Professor Morezzi, the second one, I was the editor, but many of the case studies and papers presented by the students of that master, and we have many of them here, again, connected online today, attending the presentation and the possibilities of having the potentials for cooperation for the sake of the Syrian heritage. Many of them are now on the site in Syria. There in north of Syria, in Idlib, in the place where I made my PhD study for the abandoned cities, which fortunately at the end they were registered as World Heritage Sites in 2016, but in danger, of course, because of the war and the conflict there. For no longer time to spend, I don't know if we can move to if I can change. Okay. So the main things which are needed urgently in Syria, with my connection with the Ministry of Higher Education, the different municipalities, the Ministry of Heritage, Culture and Antiquities in Syria, and the different universities, the colleagues who remained in Syria, I kept the contact with them. Even today, there was a meeting with the Dean of the Faculty of Civil Engineering and the Faculty of Architecture in Aleppo University. And there is a real need for the capacity building and training because of the long period of the sanctions upon Syria, which prevented also having these agreements like the Erasmus Plus, the exchange. They were prevented until the 2020. It was excluded from this. So most of the students who were in Syria, it was very difficult for them to receive up-to-date training and courses, lectures I'm happy that Politécnico, despite all these difficulties, kept the doors open to many students to come and continue their master, their even bachelor degree and the PhD, working on topics of Syria. But with the vast destruction in Syria and the huge need, we are speaking, as Professor Meretzi mentioned, finally in architecture, not in restoration. And we were speaking in Aleppo, about 10 professors remained there. And those who went out, forced to leave, they need to have up-to-date training for the protection and conservation, maybe restoration of the Syrian heritage. Not only the built tangible heritage, as we saw, that also for the intangible heritage, which added during the years of the revolution and the war later. The second thing is the research partnerships. Of course, now the universities in Syria, they are asking for having this memorandum of understanding. I received from the main 4 universities asking the possibility to have this memorandum, to have collaboration, even having lectures online now with even the poor infrastructure, but they are willing, and we can provide this connection with them. So you might share some of the lectures, initial ones, later developing a complete curriculum for a training or a specialized professional master course or training course. Of course, for the documentation and the relievo of what happened, yes, with the satellite and the other, but now we need to collect data from the site with more detailed, which will enable for preparing the strategies of the recovery and reconstruction of this heritage. If we are going to, what are the better decisions to do with this lost heritage? Of course, we can participate with the Politécnico support, with their experience for the engagement of the community, how we can encourage the people there. We made a study with Professor Meretzi before, and we spoke about how the cities like Brad, like Sergila, like all these abandoned cities during the war, they were transformed into a source of building materials, and they were used their stones in the building of the shelters for the temporary internally displaced people. How we can convince and involve the people, engage the people in the efforts of the protection of the Syrian heritage, because it is valuable, and we believe together, according to our studies, that even the people there, they believe that the heritage itself can work as a vehicle to leverage the recovery of the whole country, even economically, even socially, not only from the point of view of heritage and academic studies. Of course, we can help also, and we are in need for the studies for the emergency response to deal now with this heritage. A few days ago, one of the, when we were talking about the negative heritage or painful heritage, that the famous, famous Sayyidnaya prison, there were similar prisons in Syria, one in Latakia, and the people there with a good intent to help the people to recover, they went and painted these prison walls, and they covered all the memories of the people were tortured there. And this is part of the practices which, because of the lack, of course, of the training and the knowledge of how to deal with this, we need to help in preparing such response, and how to manage the risks facing this heritage being for 10 years looted, exploded, demolished, and now is with the recovery maybe can be a new disaster, created man-made disaster, hopefully not, but to avoid this, this is a need which we can do. Of course, we have the education of cultural heritage. Even before my coming to Politécnico to study and prepare the PhD, it was part of a mission to acquire this knowledge at that time, which we had a lack in Syria, we still have for, in general, the cultural heritage, tangible, intangible, material, immaterial, all these things. So this is required also to prepare some kind of general programs to spread the awareness between the community, the social and the society in Syria, but also the academicians and the specialized professionals in the topic. For the other next one, of course, part of this collaboration can be funding and finding resources for the mobilization, including signing these agreements. Part of my study during the PhD in 2009 was funded for the research to collect data in Syria by the Italian Foreign Affairs Ministry, which they started also recently, 2 days ago, or 1 week ago, they had a meeting in Syria. The Foreign Affairs Minister explained about the possible collaboration, and this was a scholarship for 3 or 5 meses to months, sorry, I'm mixing again, to fund this topic of data collection, projects, restoration, recovery, even data collection. This is possibility, having the agreements now with the Erasmus, the European Union, Horizon for funding research and activities is one of a major cooperation possibilities. Of course, policy and advocacy. We said that we are not very interested in politics, but my study was in the policies of what we will do with the Syrian heritage. And now, of course, as I said, it was a different context. It was a context of more dictatorship. The decision made wasn't informed with scientific procedures. Of course, some kind of corruption was going on, and I mentioned this in my thesis, which made me being arrested when I went back to Syria, but this is a different story. So now having policies, clear policies to deal with the heritage, having the advocacy, the training for advocacy for the government, the new decision makers, let's say, not the government, because they say it is temporary, but we hope that when it is more permanent, the decision makers will take informed, well scientifically studied strategies to deal with the Syrian heritage. And for that, if we see the next one, the other one, we have the master, which was established in Turkey, because I left Syria in 2015. It is different from the master in Aleppo University, which Professor Morezzi came and visit and give a lecture, and we received the students to make studies there regarding the Khan al-Sabun, the soap caravanserai, and others. But this is the master of the post-war and post-disaster reconstruction and rehabilitation, which has a major focus on the cultural heritage, how to deal with it, how we can manage it, and how to use it in the recovery process for the whole country. And many studies done by the graduates now who are attending here. I can mention some names, or you can see them in the list. And we already started a contact by the ministry and the University of Aleppo. They asked to have this training or specialization master with the collaboration with the international universities, and they know our cooperation before with the Politécnico, and they are asking if it is possible to have a kind of consortium and establish this kind of joint master or just supported memorandum of understanding. Those are active and actions which we can start directly as soon as possible. And the next one is what we, the graduates of this program of the master and who studied and make for the last now 7 years, they were preparing for this moment. Of course, as Professor Morezzi, he met with the students. We have different backgrounds, different specialization. They are not only architects, civil engineers, we have from social studies, we have from pedagogy. It was a multidisciplinary master. And this graduates, the Syrian graduates, initiated after the 8th of December, having this center, which is called Kafaat, which means skills, which are trying to implement their studies, which have been done during the last 6-7 years, preparing for this moment. Not only, of course, in a specific city, we cover all the cities from Damascus to Homs to Aleppo to Idlib to the east, which is still a forgotten area. We are speaking about Raqqa, Deir ez-Zor, Hasake, Kamishli, all these, which is still under tension, even military tension, the eastern part of Syria. And the aim is to transfer whatever knowledge we have, they have collected, and we have helped transferring it with the help of the all invited professors from over the world, and mainly from Politécnico. Professor Moretti mentioned them, and the students enjoyed and involved in the dialogue during the last 6-7 years. And the main aim of this center, specifically related with the part of the cultural heritage, is speaking about the reconstruction and restoration of the major monuments or the important heritage elements in the memory of the Syrians, which can help regrouping, the reconciliation, the preservation of the Syrian memory as a community, as a heritage, implementing projects to foster the preservation of this heritage. Many of them, they have studies on their own cities, on heritage in the country, but together can, of course, a collaborative work can product and gain better results and enhanced quality for the preservation of the work. And this is also a possibility to collaborate. We have students of the masters who has graduated. Some of them, they would like to continue their PhD in the topic. So Politécnico might offer the possibility to have the specialization 3rd level, or even the PhD in the restoration and the documentation in the different topics related to Syria. I think that's a very hopefully fast possibilities, and we are available, as Professor Moretti said, for any connection, collaboration. If you need any resources, we have the people working on the ground, and we have the connection with the Syrian communities, even with the temporary decision makers now. Hopefully, when it's more stabilized, we can build something for more long term for the support. Thank you again. Hopefully, see you soon in Syria. Me, myself, I'm planning to go in the next semester because they asked me to go. Hopefully, all of you, you are invited. I gave the same invitation 14 years ago in 2011 when I go back to Syria. Unfortunately, it was difficult to go. Now, the invitation is open. The houses which remained are open for you to host you in the different cities. Thank you, and best regards.
Next time with the plane, not with the car.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.